At exactly 2:40 hours, the Strait of Hormuz erupts. A 107-millimeter rocket screams off the rail of an Iranian Zulfiqar fast attack boat traveling at 1,200 feet per second and detonates against the bridge of the Pacific Sovereign, a 1,100-foot crude carrier. The reinforced glass vaporizes into dust. The hit achieves its only goal. The ship is now blind. Without a bridge, the crew can't steer, can't thread the 21-mile channel barely 2 kilometers wide at its throat. 8 seconds later, a second rocket punches through the steel skin of the aft section and explodes inside the engine room. The main fuel lines are severed. The massive diesels fall silent. The Pacific Sovereign is dead in the water, and now it's a steel cork plugging the most important oil artery on Earth. A dozen Zulfiqar boats swarm in and lash themselves to the hull. They are taking a hostage $160 million of crude oil weaponized as a physical shield. They know one wrong shot from the U.S. Navy could turn the entire strait into a sea of fire, but the Pacific Sovereign was only the bait. Why would Iran do this? By 300 hours, the strategic calculus is brutally clear. Iran can't win a stand-up fight against a carrier strike group, so it refuses to fight one. This is asymmetric warfare in its purest form. Turn the enemy's greatest strength, his overwhelming firepower, into a liability he can never use. You don't sink a billion-dollar destroyer. You build a wall of human shields and dare the giant to swing. The board is set inside a saturation killbox, a stretch of water so crowded with civilian tankers that every weapon becomes a war crime waiting to happen. The Zulfiqar boats don't run. They pull into the dead zones, the blind pockets right against the towering hulls where the tanker's own bulk blocks every line of sight. Then they lock on with heavy steel tethers. This is the trap. The F-35C Lightning IIs orbiting overhead can see the tankers perfectly. What they can't see are the tiny boats welded into the shadows beneath those hulls. The most advanced sensor fusion ever flown is staring straight at the enemy and finding nothing. And the enemy knows it. This is gray zone genius. Provocation calibrated to sit exactly 1 heartbeat below the threshold that justifies a full American response. Iran is confident for one simple reason. They believe the United States physically cannot shoot back without burning the world economy to the ground. They're about to learn how wrong that is. At 3:20 hours, the sky fills up. From flatbed trucks hidden under camouflage netting along the Iranian coast, the first wave launches. They are Shahed 136 loitering munitions, cheap drones of carbon fiber and off-the-shelf electronics, each carrying an 80-pound warhead. One cost about $20,000. Iran has just launched 200 of them. The math isn't an accident, it is the weapon. Overwhelm the defenses with more targets than any ship can possibly engage. The USS Carney, a guided missile destroyer, picks up the swarm at 15 miles. It answers with SM-2 interceptors ripping out of the vertical launch cells and accelerating past 2,500 miles per hour in seconds. 2 drones vaporize into titanium confetti, but each SM-2 costs over $2 million. The U.S. Navy is firing million-dollar silver bullets at pieces of flying plastic, and the plastic is winning the spreadsheet. The swarm closes. The Carney opens up with everything. The phalanx CIWS, picture R2-D2 with a Gatling gun, spits a continuous river of tungsten, shredding 10 drones at once, their debris raining into the black water. It's a wall of lead, but the swarm is simply too dense. 5 drones break through. The situation goes from bad to catastrophic. One Shahed slams into the Carney's aft section. The hull splits open, secondary explosions tear through the internal compartments as stored aviation fuel ignites. For the first time in decades, an American warship is burning and dead in the water in the middle of a fight. The Carney has to break off its own defense just to battle the fires. The drones that miss the destroyer don't stop. They bank toward the tethered tankers. The Iranian boats detach and pull back at the last second, and 3 drones hammer the Pacific Sovereign superstructure, turning the bridge into a furnace. The world watches on satellite feeds as the pride of the U.S. Navy sits paralyzed while the global oil supply is dismantled ship by ship. The hunters had just become the hunted. If you were the commander watching your destroyer burn, would you A, pull the entire strike group back and regroup, or B, push deeper into the kill box? Comment A or B below. At 0345 hours, the USS Abraham Lincoln stops launching its F-35CEs. To the Iranian observers, it reads as surrender. The carrier group begins pulling back from the narrowest part of the strait. The giant is retreating. The trap worked. But 40 miles away on a dusty landing strip scratched into the Omani desert, just a dirt road, a few fuel bladders, crates of ammunition, something impossible is happening. 3 aircraft are taking off. They are OA-1K Skyraider 2s, light attack planes built from composite materials flying so low the Iranian coastal radar can't separate them from the clutter. The random echoes thrown back by waves and sea spray. The trio drops into a tight line just 50 feet above the water, below the horizon of every long-range missile on the coast. They navigate by sight using the MX-15 targeting pod, a high-definition sensor tucked under the nose that can read the heat signature of a cigarette from miles away. The lead Skyraider banks hard, a wingtip nearly kissing the chop, and locks onto the heat bleeding off an Iranian boat's engine. Under its wings hang pods of APKWS rockets, Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System. The trick is elegant. Take a cheap, dumb rocket and bolt a laser guidance brain onto its nose. Suddenly, it can thread a needle. The U.S. isn't firing $2 million missiles anymore. It's firing rockets that cost less than a mid-sized sedan from a plane that can fly as slow as the boats can sail. The Iranian commanders finally sense something is wrong and tilt their radar beams down to hunt for the planes. Too late. The Skyraiders are already weaving between the towering tanker hulls, using the steel canyons for cover the exact same way the Iranians did. The trap is about to be reversed. The lead pilot levels his wings and a laser designator paints an invisible green dot on the outboard motor of a Zulfiqar boat. The first APKWS leaves the pod with a sharp hiss, adjusts mid-flight, and drives the engine block straight through the bottom of the hull. The boat is gone in 10 seconds. The tanker beside it isn't even scorched. The scalpel has arrived. Do you believe the OA-1K can clear that kill box without losing a single plane? If you do, comment 1. At 4:05 hours, the hunt begins in earnest. The Iranian crews tethered to the Pacific Sovereign finally understand this is no civilian aircraft. A 12.7mm machine gun mounted on a boat's bow opens up, and tracer fire rakes the nose and canopy of the lead Skyraider. Any other plane at this altitude would have disintegrated. But the OA-1K is built differently. The rounds strike the armored bathtub wrapping the pilot and engine, a titanium tub designed to take exactly this and simply spark and ricochet into the dark. The inch-thick canopy absorbs the hits and stays clear. The plane keeps coming. The Iranian commander screams for his crew to cut the tethers and run. Too late, the pilot squeezes the stick. A green laser dot settles on the boat's fuel tank. The APKWS ignites, corrects midair, and instead of a massive blast that would risk the tanker's cargo, it hits with the force of a high-speed car crash. The engine block punches through the hull's bottom. The boat sinks in under 10 seconds. This is the whole point. A small warhead and a laser let the U.S. kill the hostage taker without touching the hostage. The other 2 Skyraiders join in, weaving between the tankers like aircraft threading a canyon of steel. Every time a boat crew fires a shoulder-launched missile, the pilots simply bank behind a tanker's superstructure. The missile detonates harmlessly against the thick hull, while the OA-1K loops around and delivers another rocket to the attacker's waterline. In 3 minutes, 12 boats are on the bottom of the strait. The precision is terrifying. Not one civilian sailor is hurt. The surviving boats break for the shallows near the coast, where the deep-draft U.S. destroyers can't follow. But the Sky Raider doesn't care about water depth. It follows, propeller buzzing like a relentless insect, and picks them off one by one. On the coast, the Iranian High Command watches its swarm get erased in real time. They have one move left. If they can't own the oil, they will burn it. Inside reinforced concrete bunkers along the shore, the heavy hitters wake up. At 0425 hours, the bunker doors roll open. These are the NOR anti-ship cruise missile batteries, sea skimmers that can reach out and gut a tanker from 60 miles, but to fire they have to light up their radars to find a target. The instant they do, the F-35C, orbiting 10 miles overhead, hears them, and the trap snaps a final time. It data links the exact GPS coordinates of every bunker straight down to the 3 Sky Raiders on the deck. The Iranians know the strike is coming, so they throw their last Shaheds, not at the ships, but at the OA-1Ks. The pilots haul into hard brakes, pulling 6 Gs just above the waves. One isn't fast enough. A drone detonates 10 feet off the lead plane's left wing, shredding the wingtip and the outer control surface. The aircraft snaps into a violent roll, nose dropping toward the black water. This is the heartbeat. The whole battle turns on. If that plane goes in, the NOR batteries fire and the tankers die. The pilot fights it. He stands on the rudder to compensate for the missing wingtip and drags the plane level just 20 feet above the chop. Iron discipline still in the fight. The trio dives for the coast. The NOR commander sees the gray shapes coming, realizes the F-35C is jamming his radar lock, and decides to fire blind on the tanker's last known position. The first missile begins sliding out of its tube. At that exact second, the lead Sky Raider fires its final pod, not at the missile, but at the brain of the bunker, the radar dish on top. The dish erupts. The NOR, now halfway out, loses its guidance, tumbles forward, and its 360-pound warhead detonates inside its own emplacement. The other 2 Sky Raiders gut the remaining bunkers. One by one, the scorched earth weapons go silent. The pride of an entire coastal force, broken by a handful of propeller planes, they showed their hand and the U.S. Navy showed them a royal flush. When the smoke clears, the ledger tells the story. Iran lost its entire forward swarm, dozens of Zulfiqar boats on the seabed, and 3 NOR batteries reduced to rubble. The U.S. lost the USS Carney to the fight, burning but afloat, and a single Sky Raider limped home on a shredded wing. The tankers are scarred, their bridges blackened, dead in the water, but every one of them is still floating, and the global economy never collapsed. The strategic lesson is simple. The side that wins the cost curve wins the war. Iran spent $20,000 drones to bleed million-dollar interceptors dry. The U.S. answered with rockets cheaper than a sedan, fired from a plane cheaper than a single SM-2. For once, the spreadsheet favored the giant. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. The OA-1K wasn't born in a stealth lab. Its airframe descends from an agricultural crop duster, a machine built to spray fertilizer over cornfields. The Navy armored a tractor like a tank and turned it into a surgical sniper that loiters for 10 hours and shrugs off salt and sand that would choke an F-35C in seconds. The most terrifying weapon in the Strait wasn't a billion-dollar jet. It was a rugged tractor with wings. But as the Sky Raiders vanish over the horizon, that F-35C picks up something new. Fresh radar pings deeper inland. The enemy isn't finished. They're regrouping, the strait is open, but the war is just getting started. So what's Iran's next move, GEIE? And could even the Sky Raider survive it? Drop your theory below, smash like, subscribe, and hit the bell. This scenario is entirely hypothetical, created for education and entertainment. The sensors are hot, the board is set, stay sharp, and keep your eyes on the horizon.